everybody. Welcome to
Sumo
Sumo
Kaboom, where we talk
Kaboom!
about all things sumo.
Yeah, where we're still experimenting with video podcasting. It's all new. It's all exciting. It's a new setup for us. It's a new dawn. It's a new day.
I did a children's show this morning. So if you're watching, then you'll see that I have very heavy makeup on and blue eyeshadow and long eyelashes and red lipstick.
She's gorgeous. And if you're just listening, just imagine that in your head. Blue eyeshadow, big old falsy eyelashes. It's great. It's great. It's great. But we are here today to talk about sumo days 4 through 11.
That's right.
Today, I'm going to talk about the odd days. You're going to talk about the even days. Shall we?
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Okay,
So,
then.
would you like to kick us off?
Yeah.
Great.
Day 4 was kind of fun. I felt like when I was watching it, I was like, okay, like, here we go. This is all getting exciting. And the first match I noticed was the Takayasu versus Ura fight.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, come on, it's like Ura. You just never know what to expect from him. Ura goes in up top and he gets a left hand deep inside grip on Takayasu. Takayasu is like trying for anything, and he senses Ura is a little bit up and in too close for his comfort. Ura quickly changes his position and dips his head under the left shoulder of Takayasu. So Ura bends down. Takayasu is about to get flipped like a flapjack, and he knows it. He tries to maneuver Ura around to get him from executing the throw, but it's not enough, and Ura goes for it. He sort of flips himself and forces Takayasu to go flying over his body and into a forward roll. So I think Takayasu knew it was happening. He's like, I'm just going to go with it so I don't injure myself. And it was an underarm forward body drop kind of throw from Ura. It was gorgeous. It was, I know this is my favorite wrestler, Takayasu. I don't like to see it, but when he was toast, it was really quite like amazing. It was the Seitori. I think it's the Seitori Kimarite.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I don't know what it's called, but
it's the flippy. It's the Ura flippy one.
There are very few wrestlers who can take someone down when their opponent is behind them.
Yeah, and
some people who can. Ura is one of them.
Ura is one of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next match I want to talk about is Daisho versus Oho. Now, Daisho was all blast. Oho looked like he was toast from the beginning, but he was very smart. He let Daisho sort of take the lead. And right then, as Oho was at the edge, he had incredible ring sense, by the way. Oho grabbed one of the arms of Daisho and like on one of his epic pushing, series, and he yanked on it and sort of saved himself by keeping himself in the ring by pulling on Daisho's arm. And it was like all at the same time as Oho was lifting up his leg and trying to like balance on the Tawada to stay in. It was like amazing. Oho. I know every week I say this. I've been watching him. He's getting better. But this tournament seems to be the tournament that he sort of arrived. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do know what you mean. And I love that move as well. I wish I knew the name of that move, because that was the move that Wakataka Kage did on Onosato. I believe it was Onosato, the first time that they met, where you grab the wrist of your opponent to keep from going out, and you whip around and your opponent goes out instead. There's got to be a name for that.
I don't think it is. I think it's just a typical pull-down maneuver.
I don't know. If anyone out there knows that there's a specific name for that, I would love to know what it is. But it impresses me every single time. Yeah. Every single time I see it, because it's like you got to catch somebody else's arm in midair and pull on it, yank, and switch places. Mm-hmm. Whatever that name is. It's just cool. It's a very cool move. I noted the same thing.
Onosato versus Abi. This was another huge leap at Onosato by Abi. Abi was just faster to the tachiai and immediately took both hands to Onosato's neck and then just pulled. He said he recognized afterwards that there was this is interesting, that there was a lot of salt on the doyo. Abi did. And I guess if you're looking for a lot of salt and you're looking for a slippery spot, and it could be to your advantage, that's what they're looking at when they're in the sankyo, or they're looking, or they're hunkered down.
You think they're like looking at the ground going, where's the slickest spot?
Absolutely.
Where can I send him?
I mean, that's what he said. He said he noticed then that he was like, there's a lot of salt out here. and that makes for a slippery ride. So maybe I use it to my advantage. That's why I mentioned that, because I think that was fascinating to me to be like, they're even using the salt as an advantage.
Can you imagine if people were going up against, some of our big salt throwers?
Oh, like Ted Tsuyoshi
Yeah.
in the old
Yeah,
days,
who would throw like
like
handfuls of salt. Can you imagine his opponents were probably thinking, God, okay, I got to avoid that spot and that spot because that's slick.
yeah. And the
Ugh.
later in this tournament, the doyo gets slipperier and slipperier.
Or
So
maybe these guys are thinking, all right, I'm going to make it more slippery for all of us because I have better balance and I'm better on my ice skates. So I can do sumo on slick spots.
maybe. Who knows what's going through their mind out there? Hoshoryu versus Takanosho. I love Takanosho's fight in this match. Hoshoryu stays the aggressor in this really tough match. Eventually, after much thrusting from both men, like Hoshoryu just sort of like scoots around the doyo to get the outside position on Takanosho and then charge back on him. Takanosho isn't having that though, and he keeps a really good rhythm of pushing and thrusting throughout. He lifts up on Hoshoryu's arm or like his armpit, like under like that move, and that sort of made Hoshoryu have to readjust his body position. Takanosho then charges, and Hoshoryu is now at the edge and like kind of bowing his body with this incredible nodowa from Takanosho. And he's kind of somehow managing to stay in, and he gets the arm of Takanosho. He dislodged it.
Dislodged his arm?
Well, no, the one that was on his neck.
Oh.
He dislodged that. He like tossed it off in one direction, and then he stepped out of that nodowa kind of position and in the other direction. So it was eventually a Tsukiyatoshi win for Hoshoryu, but it was really kind of fascinating to see. Like, I think Takanosho ended up stumbling forward when Hoshoryu stepped out to the side. But it was really great sumo from both guys, and I was like, day 4 is giving us some fun stuff.
Giving us all the feels.
Yes. And then let me talk about a big match on day 4, because that is our boy Terunofuji versus Tobizaru. Terunofuji had, as expected, a much better tachiai, in my opinion, but Tobizaru stayed upright. And after kind of bouncing back from the tachiai, he came back in and got on the inside of Teru. Teru sort of tries to wrap up as usual, like one arm, and then like lift up on Tobizaru, but Tobizaru's like really slick and quick. So he gets out of Terunofuji's attempt to grab him and wrap him up like by just some serious wiggling. Tobizaru kept his distance though and watched Terunofuji, and he managed to push back on the Yokozuna, and he got the Yokozuna kind of on his heels, and he was using good solid forward movement. But when Terunofuji's on his heels, everybody should kind of worry because he doesn't have any more power because of his knees and his back in that position. He was just too far upright, and he stumbled backwards, and Tobizaru finished him off with one strong oshidashi push. It was a kinboshi after 2 ozeki takedowns and a yokozuna by day 4 for Tobizaru, who's having a great tournament.
What a roll that is.
Yeah, that was a really kind of great day 4 record.
What I noticed initially was watching Terunofuji try to hop off that doyo. It was so hard for him. He was so careful. You could just see, oh man, that guy doesn't have shock absorbers in those knees anymore at all.
Yeah, and that's all I say about
Okay. Day 5. Kimbozan.
Kitty Bobo is what I call him, which is the most unfortunate nickname, but it's stuck. Kitty Bobo.
Kimbozan. I think we're going to be talking more about Kimbozan in the next few days. This was the first day where I was like, this kid, he just went 5-0 on day 5. I still haven't looked up that guy's record, but I can imagine that it's his best start ever.
Well,
in the top division.
If you remember, last couple of tournaments has been like...
He's been injured for, 4 months, 6 months?
I think so.
He's been dealing with so much injury in his arms and his wrists and his neck. But wow, this tournament. This is like one of the biggest storylines of this tournament is how is this kid doing it? Like he seems to have shown up out of nowhere. He is so on point. I know he's been there. I know he's been around and he's been learning, but it's just because he's been injured for so long. And I think he's finally back and really strong.
He's in good
form. So day 5, he won. I didn't even write who he won against because it didn't matter because the story was Kimbo-san. Oh my gosh. Second one I want to mention on day 5 that I loved, Takeru Fuji versus Koto Shoho. And I'm not mentioning it because of the sumo, okay? Takeru Fuji won with an oshidashi. But the story of this that I loved was he ended up falling. Takeru Fuji fell on Kiseno Sato, who was a ringside judge. And he jumped up. He had the biggest smile on his face. He grabbed Kiseno Sato's hand and shook it and looked absolutely delighted to have fallen on the ex-Yokozuna. It looked like a fan interaction. And it was so cool. You could see, like, he's just a fan of other sumo wrestlers just like we are. That's how I look when I meet a sumo wrestler. I'm just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, that's so nice to meet you.
Takeru Fuji is what, like 23? So when Kiseno Sato was a Yokozuna, I mean, he was a young kid aspiring to be a sumo, wrestler. So I imagine there's some guys in his, that he would be starstruck by, and they're sitting right there. So
yeah, how can you not? It was really wonderful to see that.
Yeah.
And to see that they're just as big of fans as we are. Anyway, day 5, okay, Kirishima. Talk bad all you want about Kirishima, but Kirishima joined the game.
Yes.
After the first few days.
He decided, I will do sumo now.
He had a rough start. But by day 5, his top level sumo is starting to come back. On day 5, it was against Takanosho. It's a solid win. That's all I'm going to say about it. But well done, Kirishima. Okay, well, I'm going to skip Kotozakura Shodai. Okay, I am going to break this one down for you. Shodai got a left-hand grip on the belt, on Kotozakura's belt. Took a big old breath. And then moved Kotozakura back and out. Kotozakura ended up flat. And this was Kotozakura's 4th loss of this tournament. For someone who came into this tournament with all the whirlwind of comments about you could become Yokozuna. By day 5, I was like, what is wrong here? Kotozakura is slow. He appears slow. He's not moving forward at all. There's not a spark to his sumo. And we have seen sort of that lack of energy before earlier in his career. Like we all know that he's sort of developed this, like the one eyebrow lift, like getting really angry later on. So at day 5, I'm like, okay, where is that? Where is that spark? You need to like get in there. Or is it an injury? Because sometimes that is how people look. Like Takayasu looks like that when he has back trouble. Like they just slow the action down, slow it way down. And I don't know if it's them trying to do their sumo within like a very small alley. Like they can't twist and turn because of back pain. And so they're trying to negotiate how to move people forward in like a narrow hallway, or they're just like, I just need to slow this down because I'm in so much pain and I got to move this pain elsewhere. I don't know what's happening, but it's very obvious that something's wrong with Kotozakura on day 4.
Yeah. I call him King Baby.
Noted. Yeah. Noted. Okay.
It's just I saw him and I was like, I think he's King Baby. So yeah, he looks like, and King Baby is definitely struggling.
Maybe it was the Instagram post that I made of him with that crown on.
Maybe
that's why you think that.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yep. But well done for Shodai, because when Shodai is on and is great. It's fun to watch. I love it. The other one, oh my gosh, day 5 was the day that Terunofuji withdrew from the tournament and retired. What a career this Yokozuna has had. 15 years. I have not looked up his stats. I should have looked them up for this recording. But just from my memory, 15 years of sumo. He had a first rise all the way up to Ozeki, injured, fell down to
like
second from the bottom level, negotiated another rise back to Ozeki and then to Yokozuna, negotiating multiple knee surgeries, diabetes, all sorts of health problems, 10 Basho wins to his name, so he is a Dai Yokozuna, multiple special prizes. I've only watched him from the second rise up, but I feel like it's been a privilege to watch this man's career. The second half of it, if it's even a half, maybe it's a third of it, right? I've only been watching a third of his career, but wow, what a career. And thank God he gave us a little music during his career, that I Love You song, which if you have not heard that, get yourself on YouTube. Just look up Terunofuji, I Love You, so you could hear that incredible song that he sang. Wow.
The only thing I want to say is that I told you so. Because last week you were like, don't ever talk about it. Don't ever talk about it. And I was like, well, like, it's okay to talk about it. It might be coming, like, but alas, it happened. And I'm sorry for you. And I'm sorry for him. But he had his little kid with him. And that kid's going to be a sumo wrestler in like 20 years. So we'll look forward to little Temujin, who is like the spitting image of his father, but
Same cheeks.
same adorable little mouth. And you can see that, like, Terunofuji, like, what a relief that's gotta be.
Yeah.
Because he can now get healthy, and he doesn't have to be in this whole ring, like circus ring of like keeping his body in shape. Everyone asking, when is he going to wrestle again? He's had such a hard time with his body because he aimed for the stars. He achieved the goal, but to do that, he sacrificed his body. We saw Kisen Osato do the same thing. Terunofuji has like 10 wins and an incredible career. But yeah, it's got to be a huge relief. But we'll look forward to him and his haircut, and I'm sure we'll have a whole episode just like dedicated to that, and hopefully more karaoke singing.
And if you're new to sumo, I'll just say, his sumo, he not only did he have the size for sumo, but he had the strength, incredible upper body strength. I mean, the man's upper, like, forearm squeeze kimedashi was something to be feared. He had incredible technique, incredible power, ability to absorb everything that came at him, and the mental grit to move through so much injury. Yeah, and I think people will look up to him, wrestlers will look up to him for years, if not decades, for that. So well done. Okay, back to day 5. Ono Sato overpowered Oho back and right to the edge, but right at that moment, Oho escaped so quickly to his left, got behind Onosato, and won with an okuri dashi. In his interview, Oho was smirking, and I liked it. I liked the smirk. We got a little bit of, I've been telling you guys. And Atami Fuji and Hoshoryu met on day 5. These two, they locked up.
This was good.
Hoshoryu. Hoshoryu tried so many techniques here. Trips, throws, just everything. Throw the kitchen sink at Atami Fuji until Atami Fuji grabbed Hoshoryu's arm and swung around hard and fast. Imagine being flipped over a chair and down a flight of stairs by your arm. That is what Atami Fuji did. And at that point, Atami Fuji had no wins. None.
He was so pumped up.
Yes.
And Hoshoryu was just like,
what? WTF?
He's on his Yokozuna run.
Yeah, that was Hoshoryu's first loss of the tournament. Atami Fuji won a huge stack of envelopes for himself, and Hoshoryu left the ring.
Picture of him
going,
staring at the envelopes. He was like,
ooh. Like, this is what happens when I beat an Ozeki?
Like, it was like a quarter pounder with cheese.
Yeah.
It was like,
and Hoshoryu left the ring giving all of the stink eye he could and massaging his own elbow and shoulder. I cannot imagine how much that must hurt to be thrown that way. But it kind of made my day when two men can do that and then walk away like, oh, it's just part of the sport.
That's what they signed up for.
Yep, and that was my highlights from day 5.
Day 6. I want to talk about Kenny Bobo. Hate the nickname, but this is where we're at. This is where I have arrived. Whoa. Okay, so it was Ken Bozan versus Kageaki, which is not like, okay, let's be real. Ken Bozan is having a great tournament, but he is at Maegashira 14. So, he's wrestling Kageaki, who looks like he just farted at any given moment. No offense to him,
I
he's
was gonna
just
say
not.
this is top level. You
I
have to have so
know,
much skill to
I
get up here. The
know, but
man's
he just,
tall,
I
he's
know.
powerful.
He just has no personality, and we
I
just don't
know.
know if anybody's home. But
Although ever since I watched him sing,
I know,
I look at him
I know,
differently. I
I
really
should, and I
do.
have seen him smile once, and it's a good smile. It is there. He does have the ability. He does have the musculature to create a smile, but I just rarely ever see it. This was from Kinbozan, the most massive nodowa. It was like Frankenstein energy on Kageyaki. And
The
Kageyaki is big. He's the biggest of all of the other guys that are up there in the top division.
tallest, yeah.
And so that was like, oh, okay. That was like a murder dashi. It was a Tsukidashi win for Kinbozan, who is at 6-0. Let me just skip to Tobizaru versus Oho. Now,
Good, good.
Tobizaru, he is, you know, fresh off of the, I just beat a Yokozuna and
I just got a big
two.
payday.
Yeah,
Woohoo!
yeah. So he's all jazzed. Yeah, so this was exciting because Tobizaru is trying to get out from underneath the pummeling of Oho, who pushed and pummeled and inched Tobizaru backwards. But after about 4 times of Oho doing that, Tobizaru somehow was skirting around sideways around the doyo. Oho finally kind of caught up to Tobizaru up against the rail, and he's reeling backwards. And Tobizaru had a huge move and like some trickeration, as Hiro says, but Oho stayed focused, and he ended up just sort of oshidashing Tobizaru out. Like, it's just that Oho kept up his advances and his not sexual, but just advances,
That
and
would have been
that would
awkward.
have been really awkward.
Yeah.
Especially in front of so many people,
Yeah.
and Tobizaru being like, no, get away. But the thrusts and all of that, just it finally worked out, and Oho was really quick. And when I look at Oho, you're like, he's kind of lumbering, like boo boo boo. You don't really see how
Not
fast
anymore.
he has turned it up, and he matched every bit of energy that Tobizaru had in that bout. It was
You know what I
beautiful.
liked?
Hmm.
I liked that Oho did not overcommit.
No, he
Like
just stayed.
Tobizaru can be all over the place and people will follow him, but he stayed so grounded and was relentless, following without moving, without getting off balance. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
his footwork was really good. He did not overcommit to a very agile opponent,
Yeah,
which I appreciated because he has done that in the past.
he has. Okay, let's talk about Hoshoryu versus Gonoyama. Okay, so Hoshoryu's come back into this, and he's like, okay, yesterday may have been a bad day at work, but I am here for this bout. And so Hoshoryu meets the incredible energy of Gonzo, a new name I've given Goneyama, and he shoves the shoulder to get Goneyama to the side so he can kind of get a really big backside belt grip on him. And man, when he did, he went into full tackle mode and pushed Goneyama out. He was confident, and I was like, okay, Hoshoryu just had a rough day yesterday. He's back in it. Okay, but let me talk about Atami Fuji versus King Baby. This was disastrous for King Baby, this match. Kota Zakura looks slow. He got the grip he wanted, but then he like sort of didn't know what to do with it. He like hesitated. Atami Fuji was equally charged up, since his big Hoshoryu win. And that little pizzazz from Atami Fuji did get the job done as he hugged and chugged and inched back to the edge without allowing any sort of lateral movement from King Baby. He just overpowered him. But then it appeared that like King Baby put his pinky toe out, and then the match was called by a sideline judge. This is a weird thing that happened before the match was over, which if you do that, it sort of sends an alert to the guys in the beginning that like, oh, something's off, so they could stop fighting. And because of that, it was a mistake on the sideline judge. They had to go back and redo the match. So that was what was weird. And then the second time around, King Baby also just froze up again. And Atami Fuji got a Kimidashi grip on Kota Zakura. And it was just like, what am I watching? His confidence level, whatever's gotten to him, he needs to make a change.
Well, first of all, someone was probably thinking about committing seppuku at the end of this day.
Well, it wasn't the main judge, it was a sideline judge.
Yeah. It's the first time I've ever seen a judging error like that, and I'm sure the guy was so
Oh, I
embarrassed.
mean,
But
people make
people make
mistakes.
mistakes. It was just bizarre all the way around, but I was very happy for Tommy Fuji because it shows he's got great determination and great strength. He beat him twice. Not once, but twice. That's got to be a confidence booster, right? And the other thing I want to say was the crowd reaction.
Yeah, they were like, "Ooh, hubbub, hubbub, peas and carrots, peas and carrots."
Yeah, there was a lot of discussion about this one, which I understand because if I had been there, I would have been like, what was that?
What
What's
happened? What happened?
happening? Yeah, so I did appreciate that.
Yeah.
Anything else about day 6?
No.
Okay, well then day 7. The first one I'm going to mention is really a joke.
Okay.
Tamashoho versus Hakuoho. Once Hakuoho got the grip that he wanted, it was over very, very quickly. But I mention it only because Hakuoho had his neck taped up. And when you have to tape your head back on, maybe you shouldn't be doing sumo.
I was like, okay.
You got to be very careful when taping up your neck.
I would think it would constrict your air.
I know, you
but
can't go all the way around the front.
I don't know. Maybe there's just different taping rules in sumo.
I'm sure a physical therapist out there could talk to us about proper taping techniques of necks, but I just thought, oh, that's an unfortunate place to have to tape.
Yeah.
Hakuoho. Oh, man. Okay, day 7. Kimbo-san, again. One big push. And a perfect Oshi Taoshi win, I believe.
Frontal crush out.
Against, I keep expecting someone to stop this train, but no one is stopping it yet. 7-0 for Kimbo-san.
Kenny Bobo, 7-0.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, but let's get to the real exciting sumo. Okay, Oho versus Hoshoryu. There was no question on day 7 who wanted this one. If Koto Zakura has trouble psyching himself up for bouts, Hoshoryu knows his playbook front to back. Hoshoryu was so pumped up you could practically see the steam his body was given off.
Yeah.
And his tachi rocked Oho back a full 2 feet. Hoshoryu followed it up with 2 more pushes, 1 pull, and then he slipped aside, grabbed Oho from behind, and if I remember correctly, he pushed Oho out from behind and crushed him down to the ground. Okuri Taoshi. Most people would just usher someone out. I'm gonna usher you out from behind.
No, he has flair.
No,
he has a lot of flair when he's finishing somebody off.
He got behind
with
and
crush out.
smothered. And I have to admit, I liked it. But on this day, Koto Zakura showed up with a different mawashi on.
Yes. If it's not working, fix it.
Fix it. And the pants make the man is what I think we all learned on day 7.
King Baby was like, I no longer wear baby blue. I no longer wear light aqua. I am black.
I am black. I'm going back to the basics. He met Gonoyama and he showed up with a completely different passion. Maybe the mawashi holds the goods in a different way. I don't know.
It changed
Maybe
his fortune.
it's just a lucky belt. Whatever it is, man, did it work for Koto Zakura. He absorbed a super huge charge from Gonoyama at the top, did not move anywhere. He tried to throw. That didn't really work. Gonoyama gave it one last shove. Koto Zakura turned, staying on the Tawara as Gonoyama went down. I wouldn't say he was aggressive in this bout, but he was able to absorb what was coming at him and use it to his advantage.
Yeah, he was able to hold on. Now I was like, okay, he's struggling to hold on, but he's holding on. And I'm glad he did good because otherwise we would have blamed just him. Now we can blame it was just the old
It was
mawashi.
the belt. It was the passion pants. He needed some different passion pants. So my big question after this day was, okay, is he going to stay in this belt? Right? If there are more problems, does he have a third belt that he can go to? Or is he going to switch it up and go to, I don't know, bright red or something to really inspire him? But that's what I have to share from day 7.
Day 8. Let's talk about Takeda Fuji. He was up against Kita Nowaka, who has been struggling a little bit. He just had a stronger tachi, and then he pummeled Kita Nowaka with 5 to 54 thrusts and blasts. He looked like a complete wrecking ball. He's looking good, but Kita Nowaka sadly did not exit that bout when he fell off the dohyo very well. He ended up breaking his ankle and
Oh, I
had to
forgot about that.
do the old wheelchair exit, which you kind of always worry about.
But I remember he whacked the side of it on that Tawato really hard.
Really hard,
Yeah.
but that was a
You don't think
break.
that straw could break your ankle,
No,
but
but
it can.
it can. So we wish him well, but Kitanawaka is was at 4-4, and now Takaru Fuji is at 7-1. So I mentioned that because that's pretty high up on the charts there. That's a number one hit almost. Ken Bozan versus Tamawashi. Kenny Bobo did some really good big man sumo up against the strong man of sumo. I mean, he won the Tachiai and he started his pushing and thrusting sequence and advanced on Tamawashi to the edge. There was lots of fighting at the edge, but he lifted up with a Hazuoshi, the armpit like lift up kind of deal they do. And he was able to basically swallow up Tamawashi and push him out with a simple Yori Kitty. So that is an 8-0.
Incredible.
He just out Tamawashi with his playbook. It was amazing. Let's Skippy poo. Skip to Kotozakura versus Oho. Now, I love this match because we have two grandchildren of Yokozunas. We have grandfather pride galore in this match.
Oh, yeah.
So there's just a lot when these two go up against each other. So the Tachiai was enormous from both of these guys. Oho seemed to sort of have the advantage, but they both thrusted huge blasts. Like it was like a drunken bar fight. Do you remember this? It was
Yes,
just
a lot of
like
slaps, as I
it
recall.
thrusts and shoulder blasts and spinning around and then being able
For
to kind of
my grandfather! No,
yeah.
for my
But they both
grandfather!
kind of stayed on their feet and rebalanced and kind of refocused.
For my
Kotozakura,
black belt!
that's right.
No, my black belt!
Kotozakura, though, got a grip on Oho's belts and created some momentum with that grab. He sort of backed up and swung around to the edge. Kotozakura stepped to the side, and now Oho's backside was exposed, which is a no-no in sumo because you're vulnerable to just being pushed out. Oho jumped around to face Kotozakura and was about to get a koridashid, and he grabbed the left arm of Kotozakura then and pulled. Kotozakura stumbled forward. He looks like he's about to go out. He stayed in and dislodged that arm and that grip and focused himself center up on Oho again. So Oho then charged back on King Baby and missed because Kotozakura quickly thought to hop to the side. Then Kotozakura grabbed the back of Oho's belt and ushered him under his arms, kind of to the dirt, sort of like a matador would do with a bull. And Oho hit the clay. This match was so exciting to me. I enjoyed it just for the pride that both of them had so much grandfather Yokozuna pride going into this match. And they fought it out. And I saw in Kotozakura this match where I started to see there is his confident side. He refocused himself. And I had not seen them. I had not seen that in his sumo until this day. Sort of the day before, he was like, I'm just scrambling for a win. This day, he was like, I saw the focus come back. So I was like, bring it, bring it, bring it. It was like a B plus. Not his
A B
normal,
plus.
not his normal A, because that's going to be hard, but it was a
Okay.
good B plus kind of
Okay.
sumo
Did he
match.
get a gold star? No, he didn't get a gold star. Or blue star? Red star, maybe?
Well,
Scratch and sniff sticker?
no,
Oh, okay.
no.
B plus.
You
Solid
only
B
get a
plus.
scratch and sniff if you're a A
A
minus
plus?
at least.
Okay.
Hoshori versus Shodai this day. Never count Shodai out because he just likes to screw over everybody when he can. It was straightforward pushing and thrusting, battle up top, which I thought bold choice up against Hoshoryu. I would think he would try to pull some throws. And he easily just did straightforward sumo, swallowed up Hoshoryu from this, like his advance, and rushed him to the edge and denied him the ability to move sideways because Hoshoryu is really wiggly, but Shodai's really, really strong. And he kept him right in front of him, and then he crushed him with flair, I would say.
I loved it.
It was like, haha, I was an Ozeki once. You think this is an easy ride, don't you? No, because I've been there, and don't count me out. So it was really fun.
I
And Hoshori,
always.
I mean, Shodai had a little bit of like like a little cheekiness in his like eyes afterwards. Like,
Mhm.
I told you, I can still crush it when I need to.
Mhm.
He loves to ruin it for people, and I enjoy seeing that in Shodai.
Yeah, I always think of Hakuho. And when Hakuho said, one of the most dangerous Ricochet for me was Shodai, because he can fight up high. He's so fast.
And
And
he's so strong.
yeah, yeah. So it's easy to forget just how strong and unpredictable and fabulous Shodai can be. And when
Yeah.
he shows it against somebody like Hoshoryu, it's just
Don't let
twice as delightful.
don't let that bobblehead fool you.
I love it. Are we to day 9?
Yeah.
Okay, day 9. Kimbo-zan met Takeru Fuji, first ever meeting, and they threw themselves at each other. And initially, I thought, oh, this is Takeru Fuji.
All the way.
Yeah, all the way. We're going to see Kimbo-zan go down. They threw themselves at each other. Takeru Fuji pulled down on Kimbo-zan's hands, moved back, while Kimbo-zan followed. And then he tried the same. He was like, okay, great, I'll try the same thing. And there was this moment where Kimbo-zan pushed Takeru Fuji all the way to the edge. Takeru Fuji swung around as he got a double inside grip on the belt, and Kimbo-zan looked to be heading out for the very first time. And it was one of those moments that made everybody sit up, like, oh, here we go, it's his first loss. Ah! And Kimbo-zan balancing on the Tawada on one leg and leaning in to balance. He leaned his upper body in, shuffled to the side, grabbed Takeru Fuji's arm, and just laid him out on the deck like it was no problem. It was a gorgeous move, and it took him to 9-0. And again, I'm like, who is going to stop this kid from Kazakhstan? This is amazing. Kimbo-zan, 9-0, has not lost yet.
Who knew? Who knew?
Also notable to me on this day, day 9, Midori Fuji, who we haven't talked about him much because he's only had one win this entire basho. He got himself
terrible.
all pretzeled up in Mitakeumi's arms. And Mitakumi is struggling maybe with that hip that was injured in the last basho, whatever it is. They got pretzeled together for such a long time. Midori Fuji hugging this much larger man, and Mitakumi trying to muscle small Midori Fuji out, but to no avail. Somehow, every time Mitakeume tried to lift, Midori Fuji made himself super heavy.
I don't know how.
I don't know how he does it, but slowly, then ever so slowly, Midori Fuji threw an underarm belt throw, a shitatanage of a much larger man. It was so impressive to watch, mainly because it was so slow, because it was like, and he had to like give it two attempts to actually get Mitakeume over. But Mitakeume is a large man, so it was so impressive. God, he's so muscly, so strong. It was really, really pretty. Oho broke Atami Fuji's belt grip, slapped him down, executed a really nice katasukashi to take him to 7-2 on day 9. Hiradoumi, who had never beaten Hoshoryu before, somehow came out with a win against the Ozeki. Hoshoryu looked as if he had lost his balance after 2 or 3 pushes. They said it was, Hiradoumi all the way, but he kind of looked like he lost his balance.
Oh, yeah.
It was ruled a thrust down. Sometimes the magic of sumo is just impossible to see. So this is one where I was like, I don't know if that was skill or if that was a slip. But, okay, Hoshoryu went down.
Slippy Otoshi.
Yeah, it just surprised me. But talk about surprises. Ura versus Kotozakura. Ura drove Kotozakura back and threw the Ozeki down so furiously and with such flair that I thought, WTF? What is happening? First of all, I loved the look on Ura's face. It was like confidence extreme. Like he threw him down. Like there was no question. Like Ura doesn't often get to make those sort of like big throwdowns like that because he's so much smaller than somebody like Kotozakura. And I think the audience was kind of conflicted about this win because people were like, oh my God, I'm so excited for Ura. And then at the same time, they thought, oh, no, that was Kotozakura. Like, oh, I'm happy and I'm not happy. So people were conflicted because they love them both. But it was a beautiful win by Ura. But again, Kotozakura, not sure what's happening there. So,
change the belt again.
Yeah. So at the end of day 9, Kimbozan in the win, in the lead, not in the win, in the lead. Chiyoshoma following up behind.
Who knew?
And in third place, Oho and Takeru Fuji. And what was so surprising is at this point, there's not one person from the Sanyaku ranks in the lead, right? Who could have ever put Kimbozan in the lead, followed by Chiyoshoma, and then Oho and
Isn't it
Takeru
always
Fuji?
this tournament where we have
It's
a
great.
rando win every year? It's like it's somebody lower ranked.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But it's very different. So that was my day 9.
Day 10. Tamawashi versus Oho. I mentioned Oho because, he's not that far off the leaderboard. Oho ended up getting his Kachikoshi with this match. It was a big old head bonk from the beginning. Not surprising up against Tamawashi. That's par for the course. But Oho met that with that pretty little head of his. And I think this is the day that he was all like blood gushing. He's had a couple of days where he's had some serious head bonks. Oho, though, matched Tamawashi's epic charge. And I was like, again, this is the tournament where I'm just like, he's got all these skills that are showing up. He wrestled like Tamawashi. Oho withstood everything that Tamawashi came with him at, with pummeling, and Oho got inside with the Morizashi grip, which is that deep kind of under the armpit grab, and pulled up on Tamawashi, rushed him back, and essentially out. He disallowed any lateral movement. Tamawashi was toast. Oho does really great, straightforward, strong sumo.
Mm-hmm.
He's now got his Kachikoshi for all you bingo players, and he's 8-2.
Mm-hmm.
Let me talk about Chiyoshoma versus Kirishima. Now, I like this because it's a good old Mongolian kid, matchup, and they're both similarly built-ish. This was like slaps and very watchful sumo. And both guys, they were just hardcore slapping and thrusting the other one, thrust to the shoulders. They both dance around the doyo quite a bit. Quick movement from Kirishima with a nice little pull on the hands of either his chest or arm. It was really hard for me to see on Chiyoshoma, which sent Chiyoshoma into the dirt, and that pulled Chiyoshoma a little bit further off the leaderboard. So that gives Kirishima a 7-3 and Chiyoshoma an 8-2. And that was a Hikiotoshi win for Kirishima.
Kirishima, I bet he's wearing a different belt.
I don't know, perhaps.
He changed to a different black belt on day 3 or 4 or whatever that was.
Maybe.
On a roll.
Kinbozan versus Abi. This was typical Abi because he loves to spoil the fun and he, I think, relishes it. It was an immediate thrust down on Kinbozan. It was just a tachi. Kinbozan was perhaps a little bit too excited and wasn't really watching, and that's when Abi dished out a double neck grab with both of his arms, lifted up, and then tossed him off to the side, and Kinbozan was in the dirt, and that was it. It was over in a blink of an eye, and Kinbozan is now 9-1.
First loss.
Okay. And then
by Abi. Isn't that interesting? By
Abi, right? But not surprising because it's Abi. Wakamoto Haru versus Ura. This was a hilarious match. The tachiai Ura hops to the side and out of the way, but almost to the ring's edge. Wakamoto Haru is watchful and follows him and grabs his left upper arm, pushes Ura nearly out, but Ura withstands it. And that allowed him to kind of regroup and find himself in the more centered part of the doyo, in a safer position. Then this is my favorite part because this is when they're separate and Ura puts up his dukes. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
He puts up his closed fists like he's literally on the streets.
Yep.
And I was like, his energy is just too much, and I love that. And Wakamoto Haru's I don't know what's up with that, bro, but
what's going on?
Okay, so he just steps in and he's just he wraps up the upper arms of Ura. Ura wiggles all around and under to escape, and then tried to set up for a backwards body drop on Wakamoto Haru. Wakamoto Haru just stayed heavy, disallowed the throw. It was a hilarious match with Wakamoto Haru winning, but I give full credit to Ura and his spirit because he is just so silly and fun to watch. And you never know what's going to happen.
Full credit to Wakamoto Haru for reading that and shutting that down.
Yes.
Saying, no, not today. I need this win. I critically need this win.
Yes. The last bout of the day, Koto Zakura versus Hirada Umi. This was his A plus. This was
Oh, he got a sticker, or he got a scratch a stiff sticker
yes,
for this one.
This
Okay.
day, I was like, where has he been?
Okay.
Because this was finally straightforward, enormous tachiai. Koto Zakura absorbs any sort of thrust from Hirada Umi. He drills into Hirada Umi with some thrusts, forward movement, and basically puts him at the ring's edge and out rather quickly. It was an Oshidashi win. And I was like, okay, well, now he's 4-6, which is not going to get him that Yokozuna promotion. But Hoshoryu, by the way, won, so he's 7-3. But both of these guys don't have a chance at being promoted to Yokozuna at this point, unless there's a real miracle that happens in the next few days.
I'm sure the people on the Yokozuna Deliberation Council are looking very closely at who's beaten these Ozeki and what ranks they are on and what that might mean financially.
Like if Hoshoryu did it, if he won with like a 12-3 record, I think it has been done before. If it's a tournament,
if he wins, yeah,
but he's got to dominate.
And several other people have to lose.
Yeah.
So that takes us to day 11,
which I haven't even watched yet. Because,
oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. You spoil away. I'll just be like, really? Yeah. Okay. It's just been crazy. Okay. Crazy few days.
Yeah. I'm going to skip a whole lot of great sumo that you will have fun watching, and I'm not going to tell you about. But I'm going to mention a few things. Onokatsu versus Oho. First ever meeting. All right? Great, powerful, pushing sumo match where each one looked to have the advantage at one time or another, and it ended up going the way of Oho, which you can kind of imagine, but you could see, oh, this is the future of sumo too.
Yeah, Onokatsu is amazing.
Yeah, he's got power for power. No, because he's, if I'm remembering his score correctly, it's more like 5-5 or something like that. But he's looking better.
Yeah, and they're like high school, like college sumo rivals, some of these kids that are coming up right now.
Yeah, but that took Oho to 9-2. So super strong, and it was fun to watch. We got treated to a long minute and 21 second match between Tobizaru and Hakuoho, where they just got all twisted and pretzeled up in loose mawashis and moving belt grips and elbow blocks and all sorts of things. And then there was like a long section in the center where they both just stopped and were breathing heavily. And, Tobizaru's belt was at one time like all the way up against, like, underneath his armpits, and I thought, oh, are we gonna have to stop and get the mawashi tie? But it stayed on, and eventually Hakuoho got a beltless arm throw at the end with style. It was just,
I'm still rooting for this kid. I like this kid.
I love Hakuoho.
The tiny shoulder holes.
Kirishima won against Tamawashi, went Kirishima's way, so another win, notching it up for Kirishima, keeping himself in this bunch that's, vying for the Basho, which was great. Abi did some beautiful balance beam walking, going backwards on the Tawara to win against Ichi Yamamoto, and it was so close that we actually needed slow-mo, like really close, like Simone Biles type view of his feet.
They didn't do a redo because it was too hard to call?
They all had to make sure, they had to get the judges up and watch the footage to make sure they were like looking outside the ring to see if his little pinky toe hit outside, but he stayed on the Tawara and he won against Ichi Yamamoto. So that was kind of exciting to see. But one of the most exciting bouts of the day was Big D, Daieisho against Takeru Fuji. Huge full body blasts against these two. Takeru Fuji had Daieisho all the way back, all the way against the edge. Daieisho would not go out. And Takeru Fuji tried to pull down, and it was a no-go because Big Daieisho saw, oh, okay, you're going to pull. Great, this is my opportunity. I'm going to go in, and I'm going to push you out all the way on the other side. So that is what happened. Takayasu, I'm going to mention Takayasu.
My boy.
I know, he's your boy. He met Wakamoto Haru, and I mention it. It kind of hurts my heart a little bit to mention this. But Takayasu pushed Wakamoto Haru in, just like straight into the second row of the audience by his own chin. Wakamoto Haru was forced to look straight up into those blinding lights the entire match until he was out. And I think when he got back up to bow to Takayasu, he was like checking to make sure that his nose was still there or not broken. It was such a powerful push up and back. Wakamoto Haru just could not escape. It looked like a rough day at the office for Wakamoto Haru.
This whole tournament's kind of been a rough day at the office for him.
And Takayasu was just kind of like, doo-doo-doo, another day. I'm just going to walk back to my side and bow. Thank you. Koto Zakura won pretty easily against Wakataka Kage to keep him, well, to give him another win. And I just want to mention that. He got another win. Yay! Kimbo-zan. This is the big fight of the day. Kimbo-zan versus Onosato. And I thought, okay, great. Now you're meeting the big dogs now, okay? Right. You've only lost once. You're meeting the big dogs. It's the highlight bout of the day. Kimbo-zan pushed Onosato's chin way up high. Onosato tried a pull down to sort of escape, like grab the arm and pull down, but he was already being pushed back to the edge of the ring. And when he tried that, he had nowhere to go. Kimbo-zan just got underneath Onosato's arms and gave him one huge thrust. He looked so powerful. Onosato went flying out of the ring. Whoa. And the lesson was, if you're going to try a pull down, you can't pull down right at the edge of the ring. You got to have room behind you. Because you have no place to go. It's
always bad sumo when you're pulling in, you're moving back anyway.
Well, if it works, they call it brilliant.
Right.
But you have to do it with room behind you. Onosato made the mistake of trying it right at the edge and gave Kimbo-zan the entry that he needed to give one big, beautiful push. So that took Kimbo-zan to 10-1 against Onosato, which I did not expect. And it was great. Chiyoshima met Hoshoryu. Hoshoryu got a belt grip. It was over with a few swings. It was fast. As I expected. But I had been surprised with the Kimbo-zan bout, so you just never know with these guys. They're all so talented, and whoever is not injured, it's got a real good chance of winning this. So at the end of day 11, we've got Kimbo-zan in the lead, all by himself at 10-1, followed at 9-2 by Oho. Okay. Which is really exciting. And then there's a group of men at 8-3, all with their kachikoshis, and that's Hoshoryu, Kirishima, Chiyoshima, and Takeru Fuji. So by the numbers, any of those men could get it, which is exciting. We've got newbies up there, and then we've got some people who have won it before. We've got some Sanyaku up there. Hoshoryu is in there. We got Takeru Fuji, who's won one before. Kirishima, who's won before. It's really a toss-up. Will Kimbo-zan keep this train going?
I mean, he's already been up against some biggies, so...
He beat a Nozeki.
Yeah. I mean, his schedule, he hasn't fought Hoshoryu yet.
No, he hasn't fought the other ones. Onosato was the first one.
Right?
Yeah. So he's got some big people ahead of him. If he can keep pushing out wins like that one against Onosato, that's super exciting. And if not, he's got Oho right behind him, and then all sorts of other experience behind them. So this is going to be a thrilling end to a basho, I think.
Yeah. No, this basho's crazy. It's always crazy every time. I'm like, who, what, how is this happening? But by the time we talk to you next week, we will have a winner. We will have our bingo winners. So by the way, bingo should be coming in here soon. Keep an eye on your cards because you too can win some prizes. You too could be a basho bingo winner. So I guess until next week, I am Leslie.
I'm Laurie. See you later.
Bye.